So this is the eBay Scraper Sorcerer version 1.5. I made some significant updates from the previous versions. And so what I'm going to do is actually demonstrate focusing on the updates. Not a full demo, but just focusing on the updates. As you can see, there's certain data in here that was not here before. And so I will explain those different things in a moment. But the first thing I'm going to do is actually click Total System Reset, which is a button I just added to the system, which you can use to clear out all the data from the system that you might have added, such as eBay data, the sources, the product list that you might have generated. Okay, it will not remove your suppliers, so your suppliers will still be intact. So you don't have to worry about that. It's not going to remove your suppliers. Okay, but it will remove anything like SkuGrid CSVs or anything like that. This products list, the export sheet, or all of that will be removed. So you can kind of start over with a fresh copy, so to speak. All right, so I'm going to reload it because it's going through some kind of process there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is go over to eBay and just go through the process, which if you are already using the system, then you already know this process. But there's some things that have changed and I need to point those out. So on eBay, I'm going to type in kitchen supplies and search. All right, and I'm going to pull up those kitchen supplies, and what I will do is go to the advanced option, filters, right? And what I'm going to do is select sold items, because I'm looking for kitchen supplies that actually sold. I'm going to use buy it now. You can use whatever it is you're looking for. You might be looking for auction, but I'm looking for buy it now. I'm looking for new condition. You might be looking for used. Whatever it is, this is just what I'm doing right now. And I'm also using US only. Again, that's for me. And then this is important too, the number of products that it's going to pull up at a time per page. I'm going to stick with the 60, a smaller number, because I want the system to work faster for this video. All right. Now you get the results. You see the filters. It's much better to use the advanced filter than going over here, because on the left side, every time you select a filter, it goes all the way back to the top, and then you have to scroll down to select the next one. All right. So on advanced, you can do everything on one screen. You get the URL, and now all you have to do is copy that URL from up here, right? Because we have all these product results that we want to bring in here. Okay. So I do have to wait for this. Okay, great. Now what I'm going to do is simply paste the URL in here. Now, I do need to note that I removed a lot of buttons. All right, I still have some buttons, but I removed buttons and I replaced them with menu options instead. Because buttons, unfortunately, in Google don't stay in place. They don't stay in place. In Excel, they do lock in place. In Google Sheets, apparently, they do not. And so I will be gradually replacing most buttons, if not all, with menu items on my systems. And I do want to point out that you'll see here sold on a lot of these and a date, but these are not necessarily actually the date that these things sold. That's something that you might want to keep in mind. Sometimes they're actually end dates, rather, or dates that the listings ended, and some of these listings ended completely. Some are not even active. All right, and so that is all the different data that we're going to be pulling in using this Google Sheet. Okay, so eBay Scraper and Sorcerer is where you will go to pull the data, and you will click on Extract Current Page, current eBay page. That means current URL, actually, because the word page is there because the URL has to be the URL for a page of a products page, not a single product, but a results page, right? So, of course, it will take a few minutes. You might be familiar with this to extract all 60 products. I will go ahead and explain some of these things while we wait. So listing ended. Okay, this is going to say true or false. This is going to indicate if the listing is ended, true, or false, not ended, meaning that it's still active. Okay, that's listing ended. Marked sold. All right, if the listing, if it says true, you're going to see that sold banner on the listing, right? That sold banner showing that, yes, the listing was ended because it sold. but it might also say ended, which means it was just ended, right? Another thing that's going to be really useful here that's new is this number of products sold in the last 24 hours. If the product sold in the last 24 hours, if any product sold in the last 24 hours, you will see a number for of times it sold in the last 24 hours. Sales history we always had, but this is even more beneficial than before because eBay is not actually, if you open products, right, eBay is not giving you they're not giving you purchase history on active listings, right? They're not giving you that purchase history. Okay, this is not an active listing, so this is not a good example, but if you've been using eBay, then you know what I'm referring to. The fact that if it says 5 sold, it doesn't light up, it doesn't hyperlink, it doesn't give you the purchase history, right? Now let's go back here and see if we have some data as yet. Okay, great. So now we've got some data. All right, you see the ones that are true are ended, under listed ended. The ones that are false should still be active. When I open those up, you'll see that they're still active. Okay, you see the number of sold. There was some issues with this where it wasn't working perfectly before, especially after the change happened on eBay. I fixed it, and now it will show you how many sold. It works. Okay, I've tested it a lot, and it will work. You see 8 sold here. You see the number 8 here. Okay, I could keep opening listings to show you, but I'll just do a couple. You see 11 sold here on this listing. You see that it said 11 here in the Google Sheet, right? Okay, so it's giving you all that data. All right, you're often not going to get last sold in 24 hours. You see that there's no data here. There's no link for purchase history. But if you click here where I have sales history, you will get the sales history, because here's the thing. The purchase history is still available on eBay. They just don't link it anymore. All right, they don't link it on the listing, but it can be generated, and that's what this Google Sheet does. So you can still view your purchase history and actually see when things were purchased, right? So that's going to be now a great advantage of having this Google Sheet versus not having it, right? Of course, you can open the seller's store as well. You have the seller's feedback score. You can open up their store, and by the way, you can take their store page as long as it has products, and you can actually scrape someone's store page here as well, and it will pull up all the product data. All right, so you can actually scrape store pages as well with the system. All right, that's something that you might already know or might not have known. All right, now the other part of the system, because as I said, this is not a full demo, I just want to point out the updates. Okay, the sourcing, I removed the buttons, and now you will use eBay Scraper and Sourcer. Menu item, you'll go to Start Sourcing. Start Sourcing will start wherever you are. It starts from the row that you're on, and it will start automatically finding potential product sources of the eBay products at different online stores, right? Now, once it runs and it stops at some point, you can use continue sourcing, and it will automatically continue from where it left off. So in my previous systems, you had to actually find where it left off. You had to say, okay, wait, is it down here? Then you had to click, and then you had to go. All right, you don't have to do that anymore, right? When you click continue, it knows where it left off. Okay, it keeps track of itself. It knows where it left off. It has it right here, the last row. And you can see here the last row, okay, of sources is row 15. That's the last row that has sources. Now 16. You see how it's increasing. Okay, you can see the last row of items. That means eBay items. And you can see that the number of items you have here is 90, right? And so you have that option. And then you even have a ability to automate and continue to sourcing automatically. All right, now the other thing I meant to mention that I didn't mention about the eBay Scraper is you can also extract next page. So on page results, and someone actually asked me about this. Actually, I had someone who actually asked me if I could do this, and I thought about it. I said, yeah, I guess I could do it. And now I actually did it. All right, I actually did it. So you have, when you pull up page results, search results, you have different pages. All right, like this might just be the first page of results. So you can go to next page, extract next page. It will automatically change this URL to page 2. of, okay, the next page, and then it will even extract the data, and the data will go, it will attach itself to the bottom of the list. So you'll get page 1, page 2, page 3, and you can keep doing that. Okay, you can actually continue extracting, you can automate it, and it will just keep extracting more and more pages. And then you can use stop, and it will stop extracting pages as well. Okay, so this is really great to be able to pull even way more product data than ever before using the system. All right, and with all the data that you like to have sold and numbers sold and all of that, sales history. Okay, so this is really great. Now, beyond sourcing, right? The next thing that happens after you get sources, potential sources, they're not always perfect, right? But many of them are good. Is product data. Okay, that's actually the next issue. The next issue is product data, right? But first of all, so you will see one thing I changed. You have 10 source columns. You do not have shipping columns. You do not have stock columns. You do not have price. You do not have price columns anymore. It was too many columns. Okay, 40 columns was just too much. All right. You can't. I mean, no one can really manage their spreadsheet well in that way. Not with sources. At least it doesn't really work. All right. So instead, what you will do, and I already had this, but it's even better than before. You're going to generate a products list, clicking on generate products list, and what that will do immediately is it will copy over here the product data, but it will do it vertically, and your sources will be listed vertically next to the eBay products that they potentially match. So now you have a much better way of navigating the product data and the sources. Okay, looking at one source per row is much more feasible than having multiple sources on one product, eBay product row. It doesn't really work, right? So this is really much better. I also added a more precise profit calculation rather than just having a price ratio. Now you have actual formulas for fees, supplier, cost from supplier, and profit, automated formulas. And now all you have to do is get the product data in here. And once you get the product data into the sheet for these suppliers, you will have an automated profit calculation, helping you to identify the products that are actually profitable, right? Now, I'm actually going to stop the other things that are happening on the sheet, and you really don't have to do that, but I'm going to do that because I just want to focus on something right now, right? So right now, the product list got up to a certain point. By the way, just so that you know, you can go back into generate product list, and it will continue from where it left off. So you can stop it and restart it as much as you want. And this brings me to the next thing. Now, I already had the SkuGrid import export option, but it was buttons before using SkuGrid import CSV and export CSV. But to me, it was really a pain in the neck to keep getting sources copied from here and importing them to SkuGrid, especially if you only have like 200 at a time and then you have like 1,000 sources. Okay, so I created a tool, the product data fetcher, to solve that problem, and it uses SkuGrid API. So it's still SkuGrid, but it's using API. And you do not have to have, and I'm going to go ahead and start it because it takes time to get product data in here. So I'm going to go ahead and click Start Fetch and List. And you do not need to have a SkuGrid account or subscription to use this. Okay, so I am using SkuGrid API and code and all that, and I created basically a library on Google Sheets that uses that SkuGrid API to pull data and print it into Google Sheets. So what you do need to have, you have to get from me in order to use it, is a user ID. Okay, you need to get a user ID because you do have to enter a user ID and sign into the tool, which you don't really sign in. You just enter, you just go to set user and you enter a user ID. And that just gives you the access, right? It makes it work. So you do need that, and that will pull product data. It looks like it's not doing anything because I canceled that thing out, but it's actually going to be pulling product data in here in a few minutes, right? And so you can start off with a trial of this. You just contact me And as long as I have slots left, I'm starting off small to begin, to start off. But if demand increases, then I will basically open up more of whatever I need to do, like more APIs or whatever. And but so right now, if you want to use it, you contact me, let me know. And for April, I'm going to let you have that free access. It's not free. It's not free for me, by the way. So it's not going to be free for you either. You have to make a contribution towards the cost of the service, which is not, it's not cheap. So basically, because SkuGrid API is not free. All right. And that is the only way right now that you're going to get hundreds of online stores product data into Google Sheets. Okay, I'm talking about Walmart, the major ones, and even many other ones that you don't even know, right? So I'm talking about Walmart, Bed Bath & Beyond, all kinds of stuff. Amazon, it works with Amazon, it works with all these different sites. And it pulls in title, image, it pulls in the price, the shipping charge, it pulls in the stock, even the lead time. Okay, it pulls in all of this data for these products, all right? But it does it in bulk, so it takes a little time, okay? So here's the data that just popped in. So thanks for bearing with that process. Okay, you see the titles popped in. The images take a little more time. You see images popping in. You see unit prices. You see shipping, and you see stock, don't you? All right? And you see lead time as well for these products. Now, you see some are missing. Keep in mind, it only works with the suppliers that work with SkuGrid. Okay, if they don't work with, I'm not sure Alibaba. I don't think Alibaba works with SkuGrid. So if it doesn't work with SkuGrid, it's not going to pull it up, right? But the SkuGrid suppliers will pull up. Also, there might be product links in here that are not actually good, because remember, these links came from a search engine. Search engines sometimes kick back bad links. So not every link on this list is a good link, okay? But if it's a good link, a good product link, and if it's a supplier that works with SkuGrid, then it's going to give you the product data. Okay, that's basically what you can expect. But if it doesn't work with SkuGrid, okay, it's not going to give you the data, right? And then what this does by you having this data is when you scroll over, you can see that profit calculation, right? Because you have the product data in here, okay? So now you can see if anything's profitable, and you can kind of gravitate. And you're also going to be able to see, remember, you have the eBay data, so you can see if something has sold. For instance, this sold 8 times right now, and it's showing a profit, right? So now the only thing left to do is to verify if it even matches, right? You want to make sure you have the title here. You can read the title, see if they're similar or if they're too different, and then you can actually open the links and see if they're the same, right? Okay, so this is where you're going to operate as far as going through your product data. It's going to be on the product list. And again, if you want the product data fetcher, you have to contact me about that. All right. So basically, that is the system. That is this most updated version. I know it was people have been waiting for this for a long time, and I'm glad I've got it because it's helping me restart back on some things I'm trying to do with eBay as well. And so that is really it. Okay, if you don't already have the system, find a link in the description of this video to download a copy of the system. There's no monthly charge to pull eBay data. There's no monthly charge to source products. Okay, none of that requires a monthly charge. Okay, I'm able to pull eBay data for free. I don't use API to do it. So I know how to pull eBay data, and I know how to source products all for free. I know how to do that, okay? And so you don't have any monthly cost for that, right? So just a small donation just to get a copy of the system, which just helps to support what I'm doing, which takes a lot of time and effort to do, of course. And also, if you already have a previous version of the system, you should be, you're enabled to get this free update. It's just the next version. You should have already received it, hopefully through eJunkie, most likely. And if you haven't, you can always contact me about that. And there's of course the process to then get a copy sent to you. All right, and that's about it. If you have comments, questions, or any suggestions on this, you just let me know. You contact me or you leave them below in the video. I missed the mark, and this is Excel. Should be Excel for eBay or eBay dropshipping, or just Mark Teach Tools in general. And I'll look forward to either hearing from you or seeing you around on one of my channels.